Hello, welcome back to another fantastic video. This video is going to focus on how different types and systems of governments operate. So you should already have a pretty good, let's get that out of the way, pretty good idea or a pretty good foundation on what these terms mean. And now we're going to put it into practice. So systems of government, when we're talking about systems, we're talking about the way that a government is set up. Okay, so we have three different systems of government. We have a unitary system, a confederal system, and a federal system. So in a unitary system, the entire country or the entire area is governed as a single unit. Okay, so in a unitary system, you've got a powerful federal government or a powerful central government. And if you have any regional or state governments or local governments, they have really limited power. Okay, so super strong central government, super weak regional governments. Okay, next we've got a confederal system. And in a confederal system, it's the opposite. So you've got super powerful state governments or regional governments, and then you've got a federal or a central government that kind of just is there, okay? So in a confederal system, you have a loose union of independent states. And if you're thinking of an example, one that I want you to put in your brain is the United States under the Articles of Confederation, okay? Just put it in there, make sure it sticks, and we'll come back and talk to it in class, okay? Talk about it in class. All right, last system that we want to look at is the federal system. And this should be near and dear to all of your hearts because this is what we have. In a federal system, we have a division of power between the states and the federal government. And I have a rap for this. Federalism, what? Federalism, what? A division of what? Of power between the states and the federal government. Now you'll never forget it. So in a federal system, we have a division of power between the states and the federal government. There are certain things that the federal government can do, certain things that the state governments can do. Now, moving on to types of government. So we've got our systems, we've got how they're set up. Now we're looking at how they are, how they actually work. So in a democracy, we have rule by a large group of people. Okay, democracy is a type of government. Then there are two types of democracies. Okay. You've got a direct democracy, which is where everyone votes on everything, which is going to be like they had in ancient Athens. And the second one you have is a representative democracy. Now, this is sometimes called a republic, sometimes called an indirect democracy. Any of those terms will work, okay? But in a representative or in a republic, people elect members of government to make decisions for them. So your senators, representatives, presidents, governors, whatever. Those are all examples of those representatives, okay? So for American democracy, I want you to think about which one we have, okay? And if you can think of an example of each, that would be fun. Oligarchy. An oligarchy is a small group of people that hold governing power. An oligarchy also sounds like Olive Garden, right? Is typically controlled by a small group of super wealthy people or a small group of people who have some sort of military influence, something like that. Next, we've got an autocracy. Autocracies are ruled by one. If you ever hear somebody talk about an autocratic ruler or an autocrat, they're talking about one person being in charge. We've got monarchies and dictatorships. Of course, a monarchy is typically when somebody takes power because they have inherited that authority. A dictatorship is an autocratic government where one person takes power by force. And then, of course, we have two different types of monarchies, right? We've got constitutional monarchies, and then we've got absolute monarchies. And in a constitutional monarchy, the leader of the monarchy, the king or queen or whatever, rules with a legislative body, and they're limited in power. In an absolute monarchy, they typically don't have many limits on their power, and they rule on their own. And the last type of government, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this in this class, is a theocracy. And in a theocracy, you have kind of like a blurred line between religion and government. So religious leaders are sometimes government leaders are sometimes religious leaders. So definitely no separation of church and state there. Okay. And I will stop there. If you guys have any questions, let me know.